Cheers, David. And it is genuinely a pleasure to be back in Liverpool. As bored of saying what a great fight city it is, but it really is a great fight city. And when David starts talking about the upcoming events and where we've been the recent weeks and this year, it's been an incredible year. I think we're going to be over 40 live shows by the end of 2019 and a big finish coming up, of course, on Sky Sports on Saturday night. What a night you've got. You've also got the Golden Tournament by MTK on Friday night. On Saturday night, you've got Callum Smith against John Ryder, domestic world super middleweight clash. And then in the early hours, Deontay Wilder faces Luis Ortiz. That's your action for Saturday night. From here, as David said, we go to Monaco next week, then we go to Saudi Arabia, then we go to Barcelona, then we're in London, and then we finish there in Phoenix. It's been a mad year, a crazy year, and we've loved every minute of it. We've seen so many fight of the year contenders, particularly recently, and I think on Saturday night you're going to get a lot more of them at the M&S Bank Arena live on Sky Sports and on DAZN across the US. We're going to speak to all the fighters on the top and bottom tables, and thank you for your attendance today as you're closing in on fight night and making weight yourself as well. We're going to start with a couple of youngsters who are particularly important to the development of particularly boxing in Liverpool. I start with Thomas Whittaker-Hart, who I think is really developing now as a real prospect. Fantastic amateur, part of the GB setup, managed by Tony Bellew, but you can't have everything. And really starting to look very good now as he starts his assault on the 175-pound division. Thomas, good win for you in Newcastle, and must be great to be back in Liverpool on Saturday night.
Yeah, and I'm made up to be back here fighting in my own town. The training camp's gone excellent with Declan and Joseph and Paul, so I'm just hoping to get another good win and hopefully try and get him out of there, really.
A good opponent on Saturday. I saw him fight, I think, Hosea Burton on a show in Manchester recently, and you're starting to look like you're not far from moving up towards 8 and 10 rounds now.
Yeah, I've a couple of 6s and then I'll be on to my 8s and 10s. Then I'm moving at a nice pace. I'm learning every day in the gym, so it's all just a waiting game at the minute.
Marcus Malloy, big card for you to be a part of on Saturday night. Steve Wood telling me great things about you. Ready to go this Saturday?
Yeah, made up to be on a show this big, especially in Liverpool, so early on in my career. Just want to say thanks to Steve and my team, and just looking to impress and put on a good show, show everyone what I'm about. Thank you, boys. Look forward to seeing you both in action. As we move to a brilliant British lightweight title eliminator between James Tennyson and Craig Evans. I love fights like this because I think James Tennyson up at 135 pound is a real problem for the entire domestic, potentially European, potentially even world scene as well. Craig Evans, a very good fighter. Great to see Gavin Rees here as well, former world champion. Great guy. Seen him in some great fights on MATCHROOM and Sky. And he really believes Craig Evans can do the business on Saturday night. Interesting as well that Joe Caldina, the British lightweight champion, will fight next week in Monaco at super featherweight. Very good chance this title might become vacant following his hopeful victory in Monaco. Start with you, Craig. A big opportunity for you on Saturday night and a must-win fight for you as well.
Yeah, I'm getting on now, 30 years of age, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I trained hard.
You're young, lad.
What's that?
You're still young.
But yeah, I'm feeling good. I've trained hard, so I'm just looking forward to Saturday now, come Saturday.
You've obviously been a lightweight for a long time. James moving up. Always been a puncher at super featherweight, but looking heavy-handed at lightweight as well.
Yeah, he's a puncher. His record says that, doesn't it? So, but you got to land a shot on me first to fucking to do the damage. Sorry about the language.
James, a good win for you last time out against Atik Shafiq, one of the knockouts of the year. Up at 135 pounds now. Again, must-win fight for you, but feeling good. Obviously, probably a lot better than you did when you were making 130.
Yeah, feeling good, feeling real good. You know, the move up still made the world with him, feeling absolutely brilliant. So, looking forward to Saturday night, another big show, another great fight for me. And I've got the tricky, tough Craig Evans, so I'm expecting a night's work with him. But I'm ready. I'm real ready, and you know, I know that Craig Evans would stand between me and some big fights in the future for next year. So I'm ready and looking forward to getting the show on the road.
I know you won't be overlooking Craig Evans, but you have boxed and picked up European titles, British championships, Fought for the world title as well in Philadelphia, looking to get back on that stage as soon as possible.
Absolutely, listen, that's exactly where I want to be, up in them sort of fights. And like I say, Craig Evans is the man in front of me, so I need to deal with him on Saturday before I can think about looking at any fights I got for the future.
Thank you, boys. Looking really forward to that one. British lightweight title eliminator, James Tennyson against Craig Evans. Great to see Stephen Smith back on this card. Been involved in some huge fights in the UK and also stateside as well. Swifty, welcome. Semi-late addition to the card, but important fight for you as you continue your rise back into challenging for big fights on Saturday night.
Yeah, it's obviously good to fight again, and even better at Liverpool, really. It's good to be back. Obviously, I'll be there anyway, supporting Callum, so I will fight while I'm there.
Obviously, people talk about the weight classes. You see yourself as a challenge now in the lightweight division, looking at those major fights in 2020, or do you think you can still make the £130 limit?
I don't know. I think 130 is behind me. I think that I'm on the last, obviously, the home state in my career. I don't think that's no secret. I think my next loss is my last, so I don't think I want to kill myself and make weight and lose a fight. I'd rather just get in there and see what I've got left. So I'll be doing it lightweight.
Thanks, Swifty. You can act as the man in the middle between these two. It's Liverpool against Birkenhead on Saturday night. And, Masha, I was looking at BoxRec on the way up here, because that's the sort of sad individual that I am. And I've noticed that this is your 10th appearance on Sky Sports, and not just at the Echo Arena, but your 10th big fight on Sky Sports now on Saturday. I've probably lost count of the times I've said it's must win. Some of those you've won, some of those you haven't won, but really this is a fight you must win on Saturday night. We know you've got a great relationship with Tom Farrell, we know you're both with Steve Wood as well, but both of you must win this fight on Saturday night.
Yeah, Ed, thanks for having us back on. Thanks Steve Wood as well. He's stuck by me, and he's pulled this one out the pot. So I'm grateful to be back. Under the bright lights, back in Liverpool and in the M&S Bank Arena as well. It feels it's been a while now. So I'm so grateful and so happy to be back on it. As you said there, 10th time. On a big stage, 10-rounder against me mucker here, Tom Farrell. I'm looking forward to it, really am. As much as Tom is, it's going to be a great fight. I think everyone's going to be looking forward to this. Stepping up the weight as well, do you know what I mean? So, I've trained and I've enjoyed, training in camp in a full tank. So, it's just like everything's just happened for a reason. Everything's just fell into place nice, and I'm excited, mate. Talking to you at the back of my head, Ed, the score, but I'll be back on that big table, mate, hopefully. Joining you with Mundo in Anfield, so can't wait for that, I'm telling you.
Yeah, certainly the winner of this fight will be looking at another big spot on a Liverpool card. But you have been involved in a Birkenhead-Liverpool fight before with Tom Stalker. Slightly different energy in this one in terms of the rivalry between the two of you. But going to be great support. Tom has sold a huge amount of tickets on Saturday, and we know you got your boys coming from Birkenhead as well. Yeah,
and Liverpool, mate. I'm close to both cities. City and town. So, the build up again with Stalker was a bit different than this one. But it's a different sort of build up. But it's going to be the same outcome, mate. It's a must win. I've got to win. I'm gonna win. And just looking forward to it, and I wish me and Tom all the best and best of health as well. I've enjoyed it, and thanks to Tom as well, because he's a cracking lad, and we've both been able to just get on with it. Have a laugh. I've been spying on him. He'll tell you about that. So it's been good fun, and that's what it should be. Good fun, entertainment, because we get in the ring, we're putting our lives on the line, and that's when it gets serious, and that's when it becomes business. I'm really ready for it, mate, and I want to thank you for it as well. Thank you.
Well done, Masha. Always a pleasure having you on. Tom, same to you, really. Must-win fight. You've been involved in some big fights at the Echo Arena and other venues as well, and a must-win fight for you on Saturday night.
Yeah, massive fight and another massive occasion, world title defence for Callum, and it's good to be in a big fight on the big stage. I think we're going to be live on Sky, and if you look at loads of fights over the years where the build-ups and they're having murder and they're arguing, calling each other all sorts, and often 90% of the time the fights are boring, people are falling asleep, and I think me and Masha have just been two proper gentlemen. You know, we get on dead well. I'm not going to try and force a rivalry that isn't there. We're just two fighting men who are going to put it all on the line on Saturday night, and you know, we'll put a good show on. I'm sure it's going to be one of the fights of the night. I'm just looking forward to it.
Going to be a great atmosphere in there on Saturday. One thing we've always known with you is the support that you have. Again, huge amount of tickets sold on Saturday night. City's going to be out supporting you in full against Masha.
Yeah, there's loads coming, and you know, loads of people from Birkenhead have been messaging me and saying, you know, I can't believe you're fighting Masha. You always cheer you on when you're fighting. So it is going to be a mad one, because no one sort of expected me and Masha to be put against each other. But yeah, it's going to be a busy night. Probably 500 plus coming to watch me, and then, you know, 400 or 500 to come watch Masha. So it's going to be a busy one. Not too sure what time we're on yet, but I think they'll get in there early, and we'll put a good show on for the fans.
Cheers, lads. Can't wait for that one. Sean Dodd against Tom Farrell on Saturday night. Another very, very interesting fight. And again, when people are talking about the future for these guys, sometimes they realise they've got to overcome the hurdle that's in front of them just 48 hours away. Anthony Fowler challenges Harry Scarf for the WBA International Middleweight Championship at the Echo Arena. Harry, start with you. Thanks for taking this challenge. I think, firstly, what a great performance from you last time out on Channel 5. Shocked a lot of people, and looking to do the same on Saturday night. I know Clifton Mitchell's got a little twinkle in his eye. He really fancies this one, and again, massive support coming up from Derby to watch you in this fight.
Yeah, that's it. You know, first and foremost, it's good to be back in Liverpool. Used to box for the Solly, so I'm happy, used to being up here, you know, and in terms of this fight, it's another step up, but I'm more than happy being the underdog, and we're more than ready for this fight.
You were the underdog last time out. You ended up getting a prime time slot on Channel 5 and worked out very well for you. A lot of people talking about Fowler, Fitzgerald and other fights for Anthony Fowler. Do you think that people are underestimating you in this fight, and it could be a great opportunity for you to come up on the blind side?
Yeah, I think so. You know, he's going to be focused on Fitzgerald. He must think about that rematch every night when he goes to bed, you know. But he's in a proper fight come Saturday. Proper fight with me on Saturday.
Fowler, proper fight on Saturday. I know you've overlooked people in the past. You won't make that mistake again. Again, must win for you on Saturday night, and it's going to be a tricky fight.
Yeah, of course, they're all must win, mate. It's my job, innit? So I prepare for it correctly. I watched Harry's last fight, and he done well. The last round, he showed a lot of heart. Showed he's a hungry fighter. So it's been easy to get up for the fight. I've been working so hard. I've trained better for this than I ever have, and my coach will back me up. He's given me no bollocks this fight, so must be doing something right. And I just feel good going to this fight, you know. Like last fight, I was generally scared of losing. I had a lot of pressure on me, and I felt like nervous for the first time in my life. Whereas this fight, I've got no nerves at all. I'm just supremely confident, and I think I'm going to shine Saturday night. I think Harry's thinking I'm going to say, they've watched that fight against Fitzgerald and thought the stuff they can expose, but I've righted them wrongs, mate, and I'm going to show it on Saturday night.
A lot of people in the analysis of this fight think it might be tricky for you early on in the fight. Have you got to force that pressure early on and try and break him down as quickly as possible? Yeah,
it's about being clever. Like he is tricky. He's got a horrible style, like his nickname says. And I think Jack Flatley boxed the wrong fight. Like give him a lot too much space, let him stay comfortable in there. Whereas I've seen all these styles before. I've boxed Kazakhs, Cubans, Russians. Nothing he can do is nothing I haven't seen before, and that's going to help me a lot in this fight.
Look forward to that one. Fowler against Scarf for the WBA International Middleweight Championship. For me, I think this next fight really could steal the show as the fight of the night. I think Craig Glover against Chris Billam-Smith for the Commonwealth Cruiserweight Championship is just a great fight. Interesting dynamic, of course. Craig Glover, managed by Tony Bellew. Chris Billam-Smith from the Cyclone Gym and trained by Shane McGuigan as well. Both been in great fights on TV before. Both have had opportunities, and some have fallen short, some have come through those, but what an opportunity for both guys to really establish themselves on a prime time slot on Sky Sports, shown all around the world, and really try and gate crash this domestic cruiserweight division, which is on fire at the moment. Chris, I'm going to start with you. Welcome. We saw you at the launch press conference, obviously coming off a very close fight with Riakporhe. A lot of people thought you won that fight, you felt you won, but putting that behind you, golden opportunity on Saturday night.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. As soon as Shane told me about the fight with Craig, it was, you know, I've got a lot of respect for Craig, but I knew it was a a fight we could take and win, and that's what I got excited about it, because we didn't really have anything lined up, just a tick over fight. So this really put the fire back in my belly, especially after the last fight. It was I got a feel for it. I got a taste for bigger shows and domestic fights, and they're the ones we want to be in as fighters. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Saturday night.
Yeah, talk us about that. When you talk about a tick over fight, obviously you lost a very close fight to Reakpor on TV. Sort of 9 out of 10 fighters would take that tick over fight, but this opportunity come around. Obviously, it's big risk for you now as well. Back-to-back losses would be a blow for you, but also risk-reward this fight now for the Commonwealth Championship as well, and a massive opportunity to catapult your career.
Yeah, it's exactly that. You said it there, risk versus reward, and we weighed that up, and that's what we see it as. And it's the fight game. We're not in it to have 6-round takeover fights. We want to fight, and domestically, like you said, cruiserweights is a great scene at the moment. So it's about boxing and basically taking all those opportunities that we're given. Otherwise, you can get forgotten about. And I think me and Craig will put on an absolute barnstorm of a fight on Saturday night, and it'd definitely be one to watch.
Yeah, a lot of people talking about this potentially being fight of the night. Shane McGuigan says you've had a great camp. You see this with the styles between you, that you believe you win this fight inside the distance?
Yeah, I think so. I've got a lot of respect for Craig as a fighter, but I think that's what will bring the best out of me. We've sparred before. It was only 6 rounds, but I've watched Craig's fight. Really respect him as a man as well. But on fight night, unfortunately, that respect goes out the window, and you just get in there and do the job. And yeah, I believe I can get the stoppage.
Craig, again, massive opportunity for you on Saturday night. We saw you in a shock defeat at the Echo Arena. You bounced back from that with some good wins. But again, same question for you, just a golden opportunity to launch yourself right into the mix on Saturday night.
Yeah, it's a massive opportunity, and it's something I'm going to take with both hands. I've prepared well, and I've showed Chris the respect, but come Saturday night, there won't be no respect. I'm going to put it right on him. I'm going to knock him out.
Obviously, when you suffered defeat at the Echo Arena, to come back from that, it was early on in the night. It was a massive, massive blow in a fight that you were obviously expected to win. Do you feel like this is the redemption now to win that Commonwealth title and to move on into all the major fights?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes things happen for a reason. And in that loss, I learned more than probably all my wins, you know what I mean? You can look at a record and think, oh, well, he's knocking so many people out, but you're not really learning things. And coming from that loss, I learned a lot. I'm going to take it into this fight and know exactly what I need to do, and I'm going to do it.
Obviously, you've already said you believe that you'll take him out inside the distance, again with the styles and having shared sparring together, and you two just always all action. No chance of this fight going 12 rounds?
No, it doesn't go 12 rounds.
Can't wait for that one. Craig Glover against Chris Billam-Smith, Commonwealth Cruiserweight Championship on Saturday night. We move to the main event. How unique is it to get an all-British domestic super middleweight clash live on Sky Sports on Saturday night? And I think Joe will give us the history rundown on the Ring Magazine belt, but I'm not sure if this belt has been competed for in Liverpool before.
No.
Good one, Joe. Thank God for that. And I know that it hasn't been defended by a British fighter for a long time as well, but I won't steal all your lines.
Oh, you're stealing all my stuff again?
I promise I won't. But what an opportunity and an occasion for Callum Smith. I mean, entered the World Boxing Super Series and went on the road. Remember going out to Germany, obviously beating Skoglund in Liverpool first of all, but going to Germany, then going to Saudi Arabia. Who will forget that epic victory against George Groves, seeing everybody dive through the ropes and Beefy under the ropes and everybody else, to establish himself as the WBC Diamond, the WBA and the Ring Magazine World Champion, and then go to Madison Square Garden in front of 20,000 people, defend it with a crushing knockout victory over Hassan and Dan. And when he talked about coming home to Liverpool for this important homecoming defence, it was important to get the right guy. And when the WBA called their mandatory of John Ryder, this was the perfect fight, because it's easy to take an international name as your homecoming fight and showcase fight, but this is a real fight. Callum Smith knows that. Joe Gallagher knows that. And to my left is a man who has earned that spot as a mandatory challenger in John Ryder. 4 brilliant knockout victories, the last one against Bilal Akwa as the away fighter on the Canelo Jacobs card on a Golden Boy show was a brilliant performance. And I know that him and Tony Sims really fancy this upset on Saturday night, and a chance for him to realise his dream and win all 3 of these belts in Liverpool on Saturday. Tony, I'll start with you. Big fight, big moment, and I think John's recovery, if you like, from some disappointing defeats and some very close defeats, the run that he's been on has just been absolutely sensational.
Yeah, you know, John's had an unbelievable career, really. He's come back from the lowest of the lows, you know, when he lost to Jack Arnfield at middleweight. I was talking about him, you know, retiring, but he convinced me that he wanted to move up to certain middleweight, that he couldn't make the weight anymore, you know, and we decided to have a go at it, and since he's moved up to that weight, he's just been a different fighter altogether, you know. His power, we've seen his power, as Eddie said, in the last 4 fights, and you know, when you look at the George Groves versus Jamie Cox fight, you know, George had an hard fight with him, and then in the next fight, John just blew Cox away in a couple of rounds. He was unbelievable that night, and since then, you know, he won the final eliminator for his mandatory spot against Callum Smith with a great performance, and then in between that, we went out to the States, took a fight against David Lemieux, who's a big name, a risky fight, and unfortunately that fell through. They put someone in front of us called Belil Akaway, who we didn't know whether they was trying to turn us over out there or not. We didn't know nothing about him. We knew he was 20-0 with a lot of knockouts, and John blew him away as well in 3 rounds. So not only has he earned his position as a mandatory challenger, but he's took a risky fight in between to become the interim champion, and he fully deserves this fight on Saturday night. And you know, reading between the lines as well, I've been obviously reading the write-ups this week of you know, Callum Smith's team, Joe Gallagher, and you know, the big interest obviously, what everyone's talking about is Callum fighting at Anfield. You know, it seems to have taken over from John's fight against Callum, which is, you know, a natural thing for their team to be thinking about. If I was in Joe's position, you know, I would be thinking about the Canelo fight at Anfield or the Golovkin fight at Anfield, because that's the fights that you want as a world champion. But don't underestimate John Ryder. He's in fantastic condition. He's thought about this fight for the last 12, 13 months since he's been mandatory, and that's all he's thought about. And he's got himself in fantastic condition, mentally and physically. You know, and in the gym we call him the human tank, and that's what he's going to be on Saturday night, and he's going to give everything he's got. You know, and I'll believe in John, because I believe that from where he's been mentally in his head, he's been so down, and then he's come all through that mentally. He's such a strong man, and I'm looking forward to the fight on Saturday night.
Do you think, Tony, looking at, you know, those situations where people are talking about the next fight, I mean, we saw it with Joshua Ruiz. I think we're even seeing it with Wilder Ortiz on Saturday night. You know, that starts to become, you lose focus on the task ahead. I know that Callum rates and Joe rate John Ryder very, very highly, but it's difficult to not look at what is potentially ahead and perhaps not realise the hunger of the man that you're facing in front of you at the weekend.
Yeah, of course, you know, and as I said, that's a natural thing. You know, if I was in that position, I'll be thinking the same as, like you say, Joshua Ruiz. I mean, whoever thought that was going to happen? Nobody. You know, you look at the betting on that fight, you know, and we're talking about a short man like Ruiz against a big man like Joshua. No one ever see that coming. You know, and it's easy to lose sight of what you've got in front of you. And, you know, I believe John's going to be a real hard fight with Callum on Saturday night. You know, he's mentally prepared for this fight, and you know, he's a very tough man to beat. And on top of that, he's a southpaw as well. You know, he's awkward, tough, and he can whack with either hand, and he's going to be ready for Saturday night.
Thanks, Tony. Before we go to John, we go to the other trainer, Joe Gallagher. I know that you know, and Callum knows, this is going to be a real fight, and you prepared hard for this fight. No chance of overlooking John Ryder in this camp?
No, none whatsoever. When people phone up and ask you for interviews, obviously the magnitude of the event that could happen next year is always asked, but don't be kidded that we haven't took John Ryder serious. 1000%. We went into the fight with George Groves, the underdog. Boxing News picked George Groves to win. We understand what John Ryder's coming as the underdog. People writing off, and he wants to call the upset. Their mindset will be to turn it into a Hagler Hearns, get Callum in the shootout. Because John Ryder, this is his opportunity, and he doesn't want to get out there after 12 rounds being out-jabbed. Sooner or later in that fight, he's going to have to put his foot down and go. Just unfortunate that he's against one of the best pound-for-pound fighters. Well, he's the best in Britain, but one of the best in the world in Callum Smith. And like I said, when we beat George Groves, I was annoyed because there was so much more for Callum still to come, and no one's seen the best of Callum Smith. Tony Sims, great coach. He's had a busy time of late. He had a good win with Felix Cash last time out. He, a bit like myself, cares about his fighters, and this is a fight that's got to be a brutal fight. And first and foremost, all the time, we've got to think about the safety and the well-being of the fighters in the ring. Callum Smith has got to go in there on Saturday night and look to put a brutal performance in. And utmost respect for John Ryder. He's a solid pro, and he's coming to give this his all. But we've got to understand here with Callum Smith, we've not travelled the world the last 2 years to become the #1 recognised 168 champion in the world to give this title up too easy. I think the fact that Liverpool have the first world champion, the first Ring Magazine champion, is a huge success story. I think just on that, I'd like everyone here to give Callum Smith an applause because Liverpool's never had that before. Callum's come from a fighting family, but not just a fighting family, it's a fighting city, Liverpool. It's very much like Belfast, they always liken it, two cities, very similar apart, but it's a fighting city. Callum Smith's got to go in there, and any which way John wants to bring it on Saturday, Callum will meet fire with fire. If he wants to box, he'll box. It's just unfortunate John Ryder's just got to come up against Callum Smith, who's about to hit his prime in his career, and there's no way this is Callum Smith has took his eye off. We've flown world-class sparring partners in from America, Russia, Germany. If we were taking people live, we wouldn't be doing that. Callum Smith is meticulous in his preparation. Anyone that's trained him along GB or as a professional knows his attention to detail is second to none. And he's going to go in there Saturday night and put a show on and come out still recognised as the #1 super middleweight in the world.
Thank you, Joe. John, I think a year ago, well, maybe not a year ago, but certainly 2 years ago, to think that you'd be sitting here in touching distance of these belts, particularly this Ring Magazine World Super Middleweight Championship, would be just a crazy idea. But you've done it, you've earned it, and on Saturday night you have a chance to realise your dream.
Yeah, it's a dream come true. I always had the inner belief that I would get back to this stage with given the right opportunities, and we've worked hard in the gym. Me and Tony got on board with Dan Lawrence and added to the game and just gone from strength to strength.
Obviously, you know, their team does get asked the questions of Anfield and the next fight and the next fight. Does that give you added motivation in this fight? Do you feel like you've got even more to prove that people are overlooking you in this fight?
Look, listen, if you buy a lottery ticket, you consider what you're going to do with the winnings. You haven't even won it yet, do you know what I mean? But I get it. He's the champion. He's #1. There's these big options out there for him after, but they say they're not overlooking me. I believe that I've trained as the underdog, and I will go in there and put a performance on Saturday night.
Going into Liverpool, facing the recognised #1 in the division, you have to go and take this fight on Saturday night. No excuses. You've got to put everything on the line. A golden opportunity for you, opportunity of a lifetime. You've got to win this fight convincingly. Is that how you see it?
Oh, massively, yeah. I mean, I love Liverpool as a city, as a fighting city. It's great nights, yeah. I've been up to watch and even fight on. But yeah, I'm the away fighter, and I fully expected to get treated like the away fighter.
And finally, the knockout run has been unbelievable for you. Is that the plan on Saturday night? We know you can box, but you're on a great punching streak at the moment. Is that the plan, to try and win this fight inside the distance?
The plan is never to win the fight inside the distance, but the shots have been coming off, and you've got to take the opportunity if it comes.
Thank you, John. Callum, this is it, the homecoming for you. It's been a long time coming. Travelled the world. You've picked up this great jewellery collection in front of you. You've now recognised as the #1 super middleweight in the world, but also recognise that this is a real fight. This isn't a gimme homecoming defence. This is a real tough fight for you on Saturday.
Yeah, it is. It's a tough fight, and I think anyone who's been in the gym with me, as Joe said, will say I've treated it that way. I'm too professional. I'm too switched on to taking my eye off the ball, and every fight since my debut has been a must-win. I've always set the bar really high, and I always wanted to be in the position I am now. So a loss along the way would have derailed those plans or set me back a year or two. So I treat every fight the same. They're all must-wins, and I'm in a position now which I always envisioned being a world champion, topping the bill in my own city in front of my own fans, and I'm proud to be from Liverpool. It's a great city, and I'm looking forward to walking out as a world champion for the first time.
How much does that hunger still burn in you? You know, sitting there with these belts in front of you. You know, when you're a fighter coming through, the dream was to become a world champion. You got a fighter facing you on Saturday will give everything to try and realise his dream as well. The hunger still very much there as you move into a real career-defining points of your career.
Yeah, massively. If it wasn't, then I'd have retired after the tournament. Financially, I earned a lot of money, and I probably could have, but I realised becoming a world champion, I can achieve more. I know I've got a lot more in me, and I won a world title without really showing exactly what I can do. I believe I'm a better fighter than people have seen, and I want to just maximise my potential. I want to be in a huge fight. I want to test myself against the best in the division and see how good I really am, and them fights only happen as long as I've got these belts in front of me. So Saturday's a must-win fight for me, and I'm looking forward to it. I've had a very good camp. I feel good, I feel strong, and I'm ready to do a job. And John's a good fighter, but I don't believe he's good enough to beat me.
Thank you, Callum. Thank you, John, and the teams and all the fighters here. This is a great main event. Like I said, how often a brilliant domestic world championship fight in the city of Liverpool with a Scouser. Liverpool against London. John's got huge support coming up from London as well. It's going to be a great crowd in there on Saturday night. Great undercard as well. We'll be weighing in tomorrow at the Hilton Hotel at 1 p.m. Spread the word. We'll see you down there. We're going to have head-to-heads with all the guys up here now. And we thank you, Liverpool, as always, for your brilliant support. We look forward to a cracking show on Saturday on Sky Sports and DAZN. Thank you.
It is special.